before we get to our headline segment, every Wednesday at this time, a reminder that our text board is now working. And on the iHeart app, which we hope is working, there's that mic icon, the microphone. So the 8 question segment that we were supposed to do yesterday, but we couldn't do because we couldn't interact properly with most of our listeners, it's available. And we'll do it a little later in the show, 8 questions. If you have any questions for Andy Bennett, John Stiller, or myself about anything, you can text us at 1169. You can also get that icon, and you could be recorded, and then we'll play your question for us.
Yes, so we can hear the tone in your voice if you really need to get a message across.
TSN.ca, Oilers name ex-Blackhawks executive Bowman as general manager. That's one of the worst-kept secrets in hockey. Almost as soon as Gary Bettman made the announcement on Canada Day, for more than the last 2.5 years, these individuals, Bowman, Quenneville, McIsaac, have been ineligible to work for any NHL team as a result of their inadequate response on being informed in 2010 of allegations that Blackhawks player Kyle Beach had been assaulted by the club's video coach. While it's clear that at the time their responses were unacceptable, each of these 3 individuals has acknowledged that and used his time away from the game to engage in activities which not only demonstrate sincere remorse for what happened, but also evidence greater awareness of the responsibility that all NHL personnel have, particularly personnel who are in positions of leadership. Almost immediately, Bowman was linked to the Oilers, and today their president, Jeff Jackson, made it official.
I know that some of you are going to have questions about Stan's tenure in Chicago. Let me be very clear. What happened to Kyle Beach in 2010 was wrong. It was horrible. It wasn't handled properly. At the time, I think Stan has acknowledged and taken full responsibility for the inadequate response. But I also know that he's spent a great deal of time in the 2.5 years since then to educate himself, to try to learn. He's done a lot of work with Sheldon Kennedy, who's one of the foremost experts in the field of abuse, sexual and otherwise, and has, I think he came out last week with his op-ed supporting Stan, which was, to me, part of my process was talking to Sheldon, because I know that he had done a lot of work with Stan over the years, and when I talked to Sheldon a couple weeks ago, he gave a full endorsement of Stan's work, his commitment, the fact that he's sure that he learned from his mistakes. So that was a big part of the decision for me. We wouldn't have made this hire without knowing that Stan had done all that work.
Especially a 3-page letter of recommendation that Sheldon Kennedy wrote on behalf of Stan Bowman, which ends, "Why am I writing this piece? I believe Stan would be a valuable asset to the organization due to his acknowledgement of past mistakes and his relentless efforts to make the locker room game safer for everyone." The locker room/game. He possesses the insights, knowledge, and confidence needed to lead in this area. I feel building a strong and healthy culture within an organization and practicing it on an ongoing basis will be a top priority for Stan. I also believe Stan will carry this message within the hockey ecosystem, which can only help. Lastly, and most importantly, I feel that he will do everything in his power to make sure that what happened to Kyle Beach, who is a hero in my opinion, will not happen to anyone else. I know that wherever Stan lands, whether in the game of hockey or not, he will be a true champion in the important area of respect. Sheldon Kennedy's group is in fact called Respect Group.
I really don't know how to feel about this, because I do believe in second chances and people paying their dues, all those things. But it does feel like a bit of more than a sour taste in my mouth. Having read the actual statement by the letter of recommendation, essentially by Sheldon Kennedy, he speaks about how Stan Bowman worked nearly full-time hours with them, volunteering full-time hours with them to try and develop the Respect Charter program. He goes deep into these things, all this stuff. But let's compare that. I think we are uniquely able to kind of deal with this because of what happened with Logan Maier. which is a completely different situation, but similarly, people trying to come back from essentially a scandal. This was what was sent out in a statement by the Ontario Hockey League back in 2022 about reinstating Logan Mailloux, saying, quote, "Since the time of suspension, with the support of the London Knights, Logan Mailloux has participated in therapy and counseling and a personal development plan under the leadership of a London-based holistic athlete development practitioner. Not only that, he was also part of the player's personal development plan, including weekly meetings, ongoing completion of certifications, and reflections of concepts explored. He was also part of Respect in Sport, Mental Health in Sport, Sport Media, Ethics in Sport, Diversity and Inclusion, Sports Psychology, Cultural Awareness." And he was followed up upon that by not only the Ontario Hockey League, but the Montreal Canadiens. This is, to me, I would have expected to have heard more about the work specifically, and I do mean specifically, for people to get back into the National Hockey League for a scandal that genuinely rocked the hockey world to its core and left us all very much embarrassed to be affiliated with the National Hockey League and the sport of hockey. So when you're going into this and doing all the rehabilitation you're supposed to be doing, if you're Stan Bowen or Al McIsaac or Joel Quenneville, I do personally believe that there has to be more information that is sent out there than, no disrespect, I understand that Sheldon Kennedy is obviously a very respected member in this field, than Sheldon Kennedy vouching for you, which is essentially what I see in this statement that was put out there. So I think there should have been more done. And with the expectation reality known that they would have undoubtedly come back to the National Hockey League in some way or another, I just thought it would have been longer, and I thought we would have got more details as to exactly the work that has been done by either McIsaac, Quenneville, or Bowen.
I just feel like not enough heads have rolled, and I get the point about like people deserve second chances, but these are like, even when we're reading the thing, it's like alleged sexual assault. I mean, this guy Aldridge has pled guilty to sexual assault of minors, like when he was coaching like younger hockey players.
He did jail time for this, and this happened after he was fired. He was forced to get fired. They gave him. They put his name on the Stanley Cup, for God's sake.
And like, you let him go into that environment where he's with young kids, like that's like, there's just so many layers of accountability to me that has not been answered yet. And if I was the parents of a child that he went in to coach after they knowingly like fired him from the Blackhawks organization, kept this secret, and then he manages to go in and ruin another kid's life, probably multiple kids. I mean, allegedly.
There was another.
There's a John Doe. There's a John Doe that was teammates with, it was a black ace with Beach that as well is in that lawsuit. So it's just, yes, okay, you can't punish people forever, but who is like taking responsibility for this? Who is accountable for this? Who is answering to this? Like, that's the part where it just, I don't feel that there's been enough. I don't feel like there's been adequate punishment, adequate accountability for what happened. And the only silver lining I see is that at least you have Bowman talking about the importance of changing the culture, and maybe that will be the upside, that he sees, I mean, he's saying all the right things. And so maybe that will affect change. And we can only hope, because, wow, when you say you handled it poorly, like that's the understatement of all understatements.
Yeah, Quenneville was worse on a couple of podcasts. He was doing damage control preparation, getting back, and hopefully being rehired at the age of 68. Like, I dropped the ball. I'll admit I dropped the ball. That's it? You dropped the ball? They're in a bubble. A lot of hockey lifers, they're just in a bubble.
Like, you didn't mislabel paperwork, dude. You knowingly sent a predator back out there to work with children. That's what you did.
And the other thing is, like that clip you played earlier about Stan Bowman saying, I don't want to look behind, I want to look ahead. Imagine if Logan Mailloux, a teenager who made a mistake, a mistake that should have been punished by law. Imagine if he would have come out and said that. He's a teenager who came out and answered questions
from Montreal media, from Ontario hockey media about the things that he was doing to really rehabilitate himself. You have Stan Bowman saying that at the start of it. You have Jeff Jackson saying that at the start of it and say, well, I don't want to look behind anymore. For a scandal that rocked the hockey world, that tainted what was a dynasty in the National Hockey League, those Chicago Blackhawks teams, and it's essentially 5 minutes of talking about some of the work that was done, and let's move on. I just want to touch either guy. If I'm on a National Hockey League franchise, are you telling me there are no other capable people? Yes, I know there are multiple Stanley Cup winners. Joe Quinn was one of my favorite coaches before this incident. I wouldn't go near them.
In addition to Sheldon, I've had a chance to work with his group. I've also had a chance to work with Kyle Beach and other people. And in that process, I feel like I've learned some things that I didn't know, and I've learned ways that I could do a better job in the future. And I tell you, without a doubt, that those things will never happen on my watch again. I'm looking forward to a chance to make a difference in the organization, and my work with Sheldon has encompassed a couple different areas, in particular with working on the culture of hockey, and I think the situation with Kyle Beach and back in 2010, I think it's become something that we've talked a lot about. And I guess to summarize, it would be, we want to try to make this a better place for the sport better, and I think we can all handle situations better. And the only way to do that is to learn from the mistakes that were made and try to improve. And I'm committed to that. I'm excited for what's ahead. I'm thankful for the NHL and Gary Bettman for giving me a second chance. And in particular, I'm grateful for the Oilers to give me this opportunity.
Stan Bowman. All right, one other story I wanted to get to from ESPN. Shanahan, Belichick declined offer to join 49ers. How about that? Kyle Shanahan offered Bill Belichick anything he wanted to do outside of his job. Anything, including defense coordinator, anything. You want to be on my staff? I have the utmost respect for you, Mr. Belichick. Come in and work for us and help us get to the promised land. And he obviously declined, but that I don't know, that's impressive. I think it's impressive, Kyle Shanahan. Do you want to convince Bill Belichick to get Tom Brady? But maybe,